Toyota's first budget hybrid car for the Indian market, the Urban Cruiser Hyryder, has been on sale for a while now, and since then it has visited the Carvali garage quite a few times. Well, it's back with us today in the full hybrid guise, no less. And we're going to tell you 5 reasons why you should consider the Urban Cruiser Hyryder as your next purchase, and 2 reasons why you should reconsider. There's no denying that looks are subjective, but there's also no denying the fact that the Urban Cruiser Hyryder does look unique. It's got that Toyota-ness that Toyota has been putting on its cars in the last few years that give them a current appeal, but also something that you would think, okay, this is what Toyotas of the future would look like. Well, some of the major highlights of the face include these low-set headlamps, this large Toyota grille that looks very different in layout from the Grand Vitara that it shares its body and design with. The grille is of course a little lower but much bigger than what you'd see on the Grand Vitara. Finally, you also get swaths of chrome all around to add that premium feel to the overall appearance. While the face may be very different from the Grand Vitara, there's no denying that the two cars share their maximum amount of similarity here in profile. Some of the major highlights include these nice diamond cut alloy wheels, the way the roofline tapers to the back, which we shall get to later in the interiors as to why that is also problematic, the silver color roof rails, and of course these large blacked out ORVMs that have the 360-degree camera set up in them on the top spec model. While the front was exciting to a certain extent and the side profile was shared with the Grand Vitara, the rear is where the main action is, and we suspect there's a lot more design elements here because Toyota would probably want the car identified when it's being followed in traffic. Some of the major highlights here include this chrome element with the Toyota logo, this large glass house that slopes downwards and again affects rear visibility, which we shall get to in a later section, these large chunky bumpers, and surprisingly a lot of badging in this day and age. You got 1, 2, 3, all denoting what this vehicle is. Finally, you also get these nice blacked out tail lamps with individual elements, and of course their wraparound with a kind of C shape here that give the car's rear appearance quite a unique look. Okay, so that's all the exterior highlights of the Urban Cruiser Hyryder. How similar do you think it looks to the Grand Vitara? Do you think that Toyota should add any element when it facelifts the car within the next 2 years? Do let us know in the comment section below. The car that we are driving today is the full-fat top-spec hybrid electric version powered by a 1.5 litre petrol engine and an electric motor. There's a pure EV mode, and it's the electric motor driving the front wheels, with the petrol engine either charging up the batteries or only taking over once you get up to highway speeds. Neither Toyota nor Maruti have revealed what the pure electric range is, but it's a relatively small amount and is used when you are in bumper-to-bumper traffic when the engine idles for a long time and will obviously consume precious petrol. Toyota is one of the OGs when it comes to hybrid powertrains, and this is one of their contributions to the shared deal with Maruti Suzuki, which is also why the full hybrid Toyota models are cheaper than their full hybrid Suzuki cousins. The hybrid powertrain's big selling point is mileage, a word that invokes emotions the equivalent of drinking a caffeinated beverage when starting your day. Toyota officially claims a mileage of 27.97 kmpl. In our real-world test, we got a mileage of 17.7 kmpl in the city and even more impressive 27.38 kmpl on the highway. Our belief is that a bigger battery size could have improved the mileage further, but it would have given a weight penalty affecting the mileage once again. On the other hand, out on the highway, the battery was being continuously charged and in turn, it shut off the engine regularly when cruising. With a realistic overall mileage of just over 20 kmpl and a fuel tank capacity of 45 litres, we can get a realistic range of 900 plus kilometers between tankfuls, and probably even higher if you learn to game the system. The major USP of this car is obviously its hybrid powertrain setup. It's a 1.5 litre 3-pot petrol mated to an electric motor and an eCVT, right, powering the front wheels. It's always the electric motor that's powering the front wheels, and unless you get up to highway speeds, it's always the electric motor sending power to the front wheels and the petrol engine charging up the batteries, and of course doing its thing in the background. Now, in terms of shifting between electric and petrol, the shift is pretty seamless. No? You're usually in EV mode at low speeds, but if the system senses that you need additional power, it switches on the petrol engine, so that's really not an issue. There's no option of regen, or rather you can say controlling the regen. What you do get is a B mode, which increases braking intensity, thus allowing the batteries to charge more intensely. You get 3 driving modes as a part of the package. As you go down the list, you get an eco mode, you get a city mode, and of course you get a sport mode. In sport mode, the throttle is the most responsive, and that's useful when you're out on the highway. As an engine to use in this setup, while the car does feel slightly heavy because of the additional weight of the batteries, the engine never leaves you wanting for lack of grunt. You just have to lightly tap the throttle to make quick overtakes, and as you can see, we have tested this engine in terms of performance, and the numbers for a vehicle of this size and this weight is pretty decent. It might not be the best in the segment because it's a slightly heavy car with its hybrid batteries in the back, but the performance is pretty decent, and for both city and highway, you're really not going to have an issue, and you'll have a convenient driving experience. This is the front row of the Toyota Urban Cruiser Hyryder, and it's a pretty decent place to be in considering the budget of this car. In terms of overall space, legroom, headroom, shoulder room, not an issue in the front row. You sit a bit lower than what you get in the back row, but there's more than enough space for 2 occupants. This top spec version also gets a large central armrest, which allows for a nice space between both the passengers. The side bolsters surprisingly hold you in place, and that is something that is common actually with Maruti Suzuki cars. They take that bolstering very seriously, and it's a nice addition and makes you feel like you're tight and in place. Adding to the overall airiness of the appearance is a large glass house and good visibility all around. This top spec version also gets a panoramic sunroof, which really adds to the brightness of the cabin. This is the second row of the Toyota Urban Cruiser Hyryder, and it's actually not a bad space to be in. The knee room is pretty decent, considering I've got the seat in my driving position. For 2 occupants, the shoulder room is pretty good. Third one would have a little bit of an issue because you can see that the seat base is different, and also you have the AC vents and the charging ports. You also get a center armrest with 2 cup holders, and because this is Toyota, you get a 3-point seat belt for the central occupant as well as a central headrest. Some of the other features include seat back pockets, like we said, AC vents and charging ports, and 1-liter bottle holders in both the doors. The major issue that I can see with the second row is because of the way that the roofline is sloped, as we'd been saying in the exterior section and some of the design bits. The rear visibility is not great, and it also affects the headroom. On this top spec model, so you get a panoramic sunroof, which means that you're really short of space at the back, especially if you're someone that's over 6 feet, 6 feet 1, 6 feet 2, you will have issues with headroom at the back. The fully loaded car that we are driving in the video gets quite a comprehensive feature list, the likes of which include a touchscreen infotainment system with wireless phone mirroring, full color MID, color HUD, climate control with rear AC vents, connected car technology, 360-degree camera, LED light package, leatherette upholstery, steering mounted audio controls, ventilated front seats, power mirrors, power windows, and height adjustment for the driver's seat. On the safety front, all versions get 6 airbags, ABS with EBD, a traction control program, tire pressure monitoring system, and ISOFIX child seat mounting points. However, while this is pretty good, it is missing 2 very important things. One is a digital instrument cluster, and the other is level 2 ADAS. And the latter, which is not only missing for Toyota but also for Maruti Suzuki, Skoda, and Volkswagen. Maruti had showcased ADAS tech using the Grand Vitara in a simulation guise at the 2023 Auto Expo. But at the time of making this video, nothing had come out in that respect. 265 liters, boot space is 100 liters less compared to the non-hybrid versions, owing to the placement of the battery pack. But that's a fair trade-off when you consider the mileage. The boot space can still swallow a couple of cabin-sized bags with little room to spare, but it's not proportionate to what is offered in the segment. In fact, even at 325 liters, it's still 100 liters behind its major rivals in the segment. This low boot space is not so much an issue for day-to-day use, but when you want a weekend away with a gang, then you're going to feel the pinch for what is essentially an 18 to 20 lakh rupee car. One of the issues we had with the Toyota Urban Cruiser Hyryder is the quality of some of the plastics and some of the materials used. Now, when you look at it, this is a nice high quality touch surface. You get soft touch plastics on the doors, but a lot of the non-contact surfaces which you won't touch necessarily but are in your view all the time are these kind of hard grainy plastics. And if you look at it, some of the switches and bezels and all look a little out of place for a car this expensive. If you're familiar with the Maruti switchgear lineup, you'll notice that a lot of the elements are shared and are quite familiar with the much lower priced Maruti Brezza. Even when you look at top spec to top spec model, window switches, gear lever, some of the switches in the center console, the handbrake, the AC console, all shared elements, which allows the company to keep things in cost. But when you look at it as an overall picture, you'll feel that they could have done better especially when they're asking you for almost 20 lakh plus on road for a vehicle like this. We've spent some time with the Toyota Urban Cruiser Hyryder. Here's what we found out. On the positive side, it's very unique looking, something that points to the direction that Toyota is taking with its future models, especially the hybrid and the electric vehicles. The cabin is well appointed with a decent feature list, and there's a good amount of space for the front occupants. Not so much in the back, but that's not something to really complain about. The hybrid powertrain is nice to use with good ride quality and offers a decent amount of punch, but could do with a little more refinement. And most importantly, mileage. Now, if you look at the cost per kilometer, the hybrid powertrain offers some incredible value. It's a little high priced, but in the long run, you'll be able to make back the money you spent on the car. On the downside, some of the quality of the plastics used in the cabin don't feel worthy of the price that you're paying, especially for this hybrid version. You can also look at some of the switches and the buttons, and they feel that they come from a car that is at least one segment lower. And finally, there's also the boot space. Now, most of the rivals of the Urban Cruiser Hyryder offer at least 400 liters of boot space, and that is because they don't have hybrid technology. But even then, at 225 liters with the back seats up, it's significantly lower. In fact, 225 liters is kind of where you'd get with your entry-level B segment hatchbacks. But this is something you have to live with if this is the car that you want to go for. So there you have it, our 5+2 of the Toyota Urban Cruiser Hyryder. Have we missed anything? What do you think of the car? Do let us know in the comment section below. Before we sign off, here's a little reminder. Are you enjoying the content on our channel? Then do hit those like, share and subscribe buttons, and also that bell icon to be notified the instant we put out a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.